Hi everyone, my name is Haley and welcome back or welcome to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to go through the second half of 2024 5-star predictions. So it is June, halfway through the year, and I was thinking maybe I can just share with you guys some books that I am planning to read this year and some new 2024 releases that I think are going to be 5 stars for me. So I have some with me here and then some are not released yet, but I'm really excited to share them with you, and let me know if you think any of these would be 5 stars for you as well. Before we get into the video though, as always, I will have Kareem's GoFundMe linked in my bio. He is stuck in Gaza and he needs all of the help that he can get, so if you have anything to donate, please click the link in the description of this video, and I also have it under a community post on my page. If you can't donate anything, please just share the GoFundMe to get eyes on it, and as always, free Palestine, and let's get on with the video. Okay, we'll do physical books first. So the first book I think that is going to be 5 stars is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I think this is cheating a little bit because I am already a little bit of the way through and I have no complaints so far, but I gave Legends and Lattes 5 stars, so I just assume this will be 5 stars as well. Cozy fantasy follows an orc named Viv, and she's kind of stranded in this town, and she needs to heal before she can go back with her group and raid these dungeons. So she makes friends, she knows what it means to have a family and all of that stuff. All of the books in this series, I mean there's only 2, but Legends and Lattes is just so good and heartwarming and I love it so much, so I don't see why the prequel would be anything less than 5 stars. And then along the same vein, I have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and I have started this as well, but I'm not very far into it, only a couple of chapters. But I would say that this is the sci-fi version of Bookshops and Bone Dust because so far it's giving me found family, very cozy vibes, but set in space. So essentially our main character named Rosemary, she leaves her home. We don't really know why at this time, but she leaves to go be like a clerk on this cargo ship. And so she goes, and this ship has a few different species on it and everyone has their own job, but they all live together. And so this is the first time Rosemary is away from home, and I think they're supposed to get a big job, and so it kind of just follows them doing this job, things that can go wrong, but also found family and like a space opera adventure. I don't think it's going to be very high stakes based on what I've read so far and what the synopsis says, so that's why I feel like it's similar to Bookshops and Bone Dust and Legends and Lattes, because while there is still like a climax and a conflict in those books, it's not anything really scary. So I think that's what this is going to be like, and I love those kinds of books. I love the cozy vibes, so I really think this would be 5 stars as well. And then I have The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. I've talked about this before. I think this will be 5 stars because it is a sequel to a book that I gave 4.75 stars, which is Deadly Education, and I don't want to say what this is about because it is a sequel, but I think this will be 5 stars because I have a better grasp on the magic system. So in the first book I didn't really understand it 100%, and that's why it wasn't a 5 star, but I think since I do now, this could be a 5 star. Also, sorry if you can hear background noise. I live by the airport and my window is open because it is really hot. Okay, and then I have Vows and Ruins by Helen Schurer, and this is the sequel to Blood and Steel, and this is a romantasy series. Again, I don't want to say too much because it is a sequel, but I gave the first one 5 stars, and it is about this girl who wants to become a warrior, and things fall into place where she is finally granted the okay to go and do so, because in this city where she grew up, women have been banned from becoming soldiers and fighters because of a prophecy, so she is like the first one in a long time, and her romantic interest is the person who is training her. It's not just romance though. I think the world building is fantastic, and like the first book and the trials that they had to do, I loved it. I thought it was so good, and I think if you can do romance really well along with like a fantasy plot, it's just automatically a 5 star for me. So I'm really excited to read this, and I really think this whole series could be a 5 star. Okay, I have a lot of sequels, but next I have Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I gave Ninth House 5 stars. I've talked about it so much on my channel, and I'm about halfway through Hellbent, but it's been a while since I've picked it up. But I don't see why this wouldn't be a 5 star. I loved the first one so much. I feel like even if the story doesn't pan out how I want it to, the writing is just so good that it's a 5 star. Like sometimes books just have the perfect writing style that no matter what happens, I love it. That's like kind of with A Deadly Education and The Graduate. Like I love that writing style, so same thing anything with Ninth House and Hellbent. Honestly, like, if a lot of books were written in these ways, I would have a lot more 5 stars. But yeah, I don't see why this wouldn't be a 5 star. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because it is a sequel, but Ninth House, which is the first book in the series, follows a girl named Alex, and she kind of got into trouble when she was younger. She did drugs and she ran away from home, and one night as she's in the hospital after something happened to her friends, she is approached by the dean of Yale. He recruits her to come and be a member of Leith Society, which is a secret society at Yale that keeps track of all of the other secret magical societies. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend. This series is so good. Another sequel is A Shadow Crown by Melissa Blair. This is the second book in the Halfling Saga series. The first one is A Broken Blade. I gave A Broken Blade 5 stars when I read it. I do need to do a reread because I wasn't able to annotate because I wasn't annotating at the time. So I do need to reread it, but it was 5 stars and I don't see why this would be any different. I love the writing style in this book, or in the first one. I love the characters, I love the plot. It is another romantasy and, you know, like political moves against the king and stuff like that. Like, I'm obsessed with stories like that, so I don't see why this wouldn't be a 5 star. I think this is another series that could be a 5-star series for me, but the first one follows the king's blade and she is like the assassin for him, but as she is doing a job, she finds out that there are people inside of the, like, I guess royal court that are moving against the king, and it leads her to the land of the Fae. So it's basically an adventure story, romantasy. I really loved it, and there's like 4 books in the series already, so really excited to pick it back up and really excited to see if it's going to be a 5 star. Okay, the last physical book that I have on here is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is her first adult fantasy book outside of the Shadowhunters series. Shadowhunters is one of my all-time favorite series, if not my favorite series, so I'm really excited to read this. I know it didn't get received very well, but Cassandra Clare is another person whose writing I just love, and so I feel like I could give this a 5 star even if the story falls a little bit flat, just because I feel like her writing is super atmospheric and just really envelops you. So I think this could be a 5 star, but it says 2 outcasts find themselves at the center of world-altering change in the start of a riveting epic fantasy series. It says, in the vibrant city-state of Castellane, the richest of nobles and the most debauched of criminals have one thing in common: the constant search for wealth, power, and the next hedonistic thrill. Kel is an orphan, stolen from the life he knew to become the swordcatcher, the body double of a royal heir, Prince Connor Aurelian. Lynn Castor is one of the Oshkar, a small community whose members still possess magical abilities. By law, they must live behind walls within the city, but Lynn, a physician, ventures out to tend to the sick and dying of Castellane. After a failed assassination attempt brings Lynn and Kel together, they are drawn into the web of mysterious ragpicker King, the criminal ruler of Castellane's underworld, who offers them each what they want. Seems like it's going to be a story of temptation, slight betrayal maybe. I don't know if it's a romance at all, but I have been loving pure fantasy books and I'm really excited to read this. I love Cassandra Clare and I really think this could be a 5 star. So the rest of the books are not books that I have physically. I am going to read them on my Kindle, so let me just get that out. And then these are also like 2024 releases. So Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is another romance book by her. I've given everything I've read by her 5 stars except for Bride, but I don't think supernatural romance is my thing. But I think this is another science book that she's writing. It says, a forbidden secret affair proves that all is fair in love and science. Ruth Seibert might not have it all, but she has enough. A few friends that she can always count on, the financial stability she yearned for as a kid, and a successful career as a biotech engineer at Klein, one of the most promising startups in the field of food science. Her world is stable, pleasant, and hard-fought, until a hostile takeover and its offensively attractive frontman threatens to bring it all crumbling down. Eli Kilgore and his business partners want Klein, period. Eli has his own reasons for pushing this deal through, and he's a man who gets what he wants, with one burning exception: Rue, the woman he can't stop thinking about, the woman who's off limits to him. Torn between loyalty and an undeniable attraction, Rue and Eli throw caution out the lab and the boardroom windows. Their affair is secret, no strings attached, and has a built-in deadline: the day one of their companies will prevail. But the heart is risky business, one that plays for keeps. So I love anything Ali Hazelwood writes, and I love all of her science books. I think they're called the STEMinist books, maybe? Or those are the novellas. I don't know. Everything I've read in that genre, I'm obsessed with, so I don't really see why that one wouldn't fall under that. And then we have The West Passage by Jared Petchacek. This is another 2024 release, and it just sounds right up my alley. So it says, a palace the size of a city ruled by giant ladies of unknowable eldritch origin, a land left to slow decay, drowning in the debris of generations. All this and more awaits you within the West Passage, a delightfully mysterious and intriguingly weird medieval fantasy unlike anything you've read before. When the guardian of the West Passage died in her bed, the women of Greytower fed her to the crows and went back to their chores. No successor was named as guardian, no one took up the fallen blade. The West Passage went unguarded. Now snow blankets gray in the height of summer. Rats erupt from beneath the earth, fleeing that which comes. Crops fail and hunger looms, and none stand ready to face the beast stirring beneath the poisoned soil. The fate of all who live in the palace hangs on narrow shoulders. The too young mother of Grey House sets out to fix the seasons. The unnamed apprentice of the deceased Grey Guardian goes to warn Black Tower. Both their paths cross the West Passage, the ancient byway of the beast. On their journeys they will meet school teachers and beekeepers, miracles and monsters, and very, very big ladies. No one can say if they'll reach their destinations, but one thing is for sure, the world is about to change. I feel like that just sounds like so much fun and also very mysterious. Like, you don't really know what kind of story you're getting. It's obviously an adventure, but you don't really know the stakes. You don't really know how these characters are going to be or who they really are. So I feel like that just sounds so good and very like whimsical Studio Ghibli vibes. I'm really excited for that. This is not a 2024 release, but the third book is coming out in 2024, but I haven't read the second one yet, and that is The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. So this is the second book in the Bloodsworn saga. I just finished the first one and I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. I don't see why the second one wouldn't be 5 stars if it follows the same writing style, same storyline. It was just so good. So Shadow of the Gods, which is the first one, follows 3 different characters, 3 different points of view. We have Orca, Varg, and Elvar, and they are all like their own characters with their own storylines, but throughout the book you can see how they're going to connect and why they're going to connect. And so it just follows each of them and their point of views having their own purpose and like their own quest that they need to go on, and how it is going to affect not only them but how it's going to affect the whole world, and also how it brings them together basically. This is Norse mythology inspired and I just love it so much. I'll definitely talk more about it in my June reading wrap up, so I don't want to say too much, but I gave it 5 stars, and so the second book kind of just picks up where the first one left off, and we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen and all of that stuff. So I am really excited for that. And then the third one comes out in October of this year, so I think that would be a 5 star as well. Another book that I want to read this year is Jade City by Fonda Lee, and I think this would be a 5 star as well. So it says, Jade City is a gripping Godfather-esque saga of intergenerational blood feuds, vicious politics, magic, and kung fu. The Call family is one of the 2 crime syndicates that control the island of Kekon. It's the only place in the world that produces rare magical jade, which grants those with the right training and heritage superhuman abilities. The Greenbone clans of honorable jade-wearing warriors once protected the island from foreign invasion, but nowadays it's a bustling post-war metropolis full of fast cars and foreign money. Greenbone families like the Calls are primarily involved in commerce, construction, and the everyday upkeep of the districts under their protection. When the simmering tension between the Calls and their greatest rivals erupts into open violence in the streets, the outcome of this clan war will determine the fate of all Greenbones and the future of Kekon itself. I've heard great things about this series. It's been on my list for so long and I really want to read it this year, and I think it would be 5 stars. Another book that I think is going to be 5 stars, I actually have it, but my room is a mess and I just can't go over there to sort out where my book is, but that would be The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is the second book in the Poppy War series. The Poppy War was a 5-star read for me, and I really want to finish the series, and I feel like 2024 is the year that I do it. But the Poppy War follows our main character named Rin, and she comes from a very poor background, but she tests into a very prestigious military academy. It follows her as she is navigating how to fit in here, because obviously she is not from the same type of lifestyle as a lot of the kids are, and her goal is to just become a warrior and make a name for herself. And so it follows her trying to fit in and learn all she can about war and strategy and stuff like that. And then a war breaks out as the students are in the middle of their first year. So it's very good, very fast paced, but also just so beautifully written, and there's a lot of critique on, you know, war itself. I think we all know that R.F. Kuang writes a lot of politics into her books to get us to think about what it all means, and so I love that aspect of her books. And the Poppy War is just so good. Like, if you want a fantasy series to get into, I highly recommend reading the Poppy War. And there's also magic, so if you like magic, you would like that. But yeah, I think it's time that I read The Dragon Republic, even though I'm scared, and I really do think it would be a 5-star. And then the last book that I want to read this year that I think will be a 5-star, and there are definitely more books I want to read that I think will be a 5-star, but I'm trying to just talk about the ones that are on the top of my list, and that would be Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Casimano. I've wanted to read this for a really long time. I just have never gotten around to it, but it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I feel like it's a sign. But it is a mystery thriller, but I think it's supposed to be funny as well. So it says, getting the job done for one single mom takes on a whole new meaning and Finley Donovan is killing it. Finley Donovan is killing it, except she's really not. She's a stressed out single mom of 2 and struggling novelist. Finley's life is in the new book she promised her literary agent isn't written. Her ex-husband fired the nanny without telling her, and this morning she had to send her 4-year-old to school with her hair duct taped to her head after an incident with scissors. When Finley is overheard discussing the plot of her new suspense novel with her agent over lunch, she's mistaken for a contract killer and inadvertently accepts an offer to dispose of a problem husband in order to make ends meet. Soon, Finley discovers that crime in real life is a lot more difficult than its fictional counterpart as she becomes tangled in a real-life murder investigation. Fast-paced, deliciously witty, and wholeheartedly authentic in depicting the frustrations and triumphs of motherhood in all its messiness, hilarity, and heartfelt moment, Finley Donovan is Killing It is the first in a brilliant new series. I feel like that sounds like so much fun. I haven't read anything like that before, and I do like mystery thrillers, but I feel like an added element of humor will just make it a lot more enjoyable. So I'm really excited to read that. I know there's at least 3 books in the series, I think. So yeah, I really think that would be a 5-star as well. Those were all of the books on the top of my TBR that I think are going to be 5 stars. I think there are more that I'm just forgetting about, but I didn't want to make this video too long, so I can make a part 2 if you guys are interested, and I definitely will make a follow-up to this if the books that I predicted are 5 stars once I get to them. But I'm really excited for those 2024 releases that I talked about, and I really hope they come out soon, and I really need to get to the books I already own and read them as well. If you think any of these would be 5 stars for you, let me know in the comments down below, or if you have read any of these books and they were 5 stars, please let me know as well. And what are your 5-star predictions for yourself? I'm always interested to see what other people like to read and how their ratings differ from mine, so please comment that as well. That's all I have for this video. Again, please click the link in the description to donate to Kareem or just share his GoFundMe on your socials or with anybody that you know. There are tons of other donations through Operation Olive Branch if you are interested in donating to anybody else, but my GoFundMe is just for Kareem, but there are tons of other families that could use our help. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. You can also follow my socials that I have linked in the description of this video: Goodreads, TikTok, and Instagram. And I hope you are all staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!